Hi, bonjour, hello, guten tag, what's going on? Hey, today's video is a very requested video and probably like the second to last video I'm kind of going to make about uni for a while, because obviously like it's summer now and like there's no real need for you to be driving that aggressively down my road, but you know, go off sis. Sorry, it's really hot today, so like the chances of me shutting that window are very slim. But today's video is a video about university and about how first year was, because I did a video at the end of first term, but I didn't do a proper video at the end of second term, and that's because I thought, well, not really that much is gonna be that different between now and the end of final term, so I may as well just do it then. So for context, if you've never watched my channel before, I'm wearing sunglasses indoors again. We're gonna go with it. And I've just finished my first year at Oxford University. I study German and Spanish, and I go to Lady Margaret Hall, which is one of the many like little colleges that are within the university that are like little communities that you kind of live in. So that's basically me. I've just finished my exams. I sat 8 3-hour exams this year, which was horrendous, but we'll get to that. I basically am going to go through the year very quickly chronologically and then answer your questions about specific aspects of Oxford that you've asked. So as a brief summary, Michaelmas was crazy but great. Like Michaelmas was really, really good, and I felt really like stimulated, like I was really busy, and obviously the work was hard and I was ill at times, but I generally was in a really good place. I really knew that Oxford was the place for me. My reports were great. Everything was a-okay, and I've already spoken about Michaelmas quite a lot. I was just very, very happy, and it was great. Academically it was great, socially it was great. I loved everything about the uni, and I knew that that was where I wanted to be, and I had no regrets whatsoever. Hilary and Trinity were a different kettle of fish, but one thing that didn't change throughout the whole of this, which I'd like to reiterate before I say anything else, there has not been 1 point, 1 second, 1 anything where I doubted that Oxford was the place for me. No matter how difficult the workload got, no matter how difficult everything got with me, I always knew that not only had I picked the right university, but I had picked the right college. The welfare system and the community at LMH has been the one stable thing in my life this year, one thing that I have been able to count on, one thing that I find comfort and support in no matter what is going on, and one thing that I am eternally grateful for and cannot sing the praises of the college and the staff and the students and everything enough. And if you take one thing away from this video, is that uni's hard. Uni is going to be hard wherever you go. It's not going to be a bed of roses. It's not going to be one long piss up. Like, there's going to be difficult parts, and make your decision wisely. I know for a fact, and I know that I will never ever doubt that I picked the right university and that I made the right decision. And just make sure you really think about it, because when I say that the people around you make a big difference in how your year will go, like, I mean it. So why was Hilary difficult? Hilary was more equivalent to Hilary for a lot of it. I'm not going to lie to you. This though, upon reflection, was for many different reasons. Number one, the weather. I have really bad seasonal affective disorder. The weather impacts my mood so much, like a lot, and it's like everyone in our family's got it. It was dark, it was dingy, I was eating really badly, I was just delivering all the time. I'd eat huge portions in hall. I wasn't going to the gym, because the workload was so intense. Hilary was just so academically intense. I was writing 1.5 to 2 essays a week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes 3-4 days to do an essay properly. And with that, I had bags of translations, grammar work, lectures, classes. I have a lot of contact hours, and Hilary was very difficult academically for me because I wasn't a fan of the prose text we were doing in German, to be honest, and the ballads for Spanish, whilst I ended up loving them, were really difficult to grasp to start with, and I honestly felt so out of my depth, so much of Hilary academically, that I just wasn't eating properly and all of this. But I was so aware of this whole time that uni's supposed to be such a good experience that I was beating myself up for having bad days and not being productive all the time and sitting and doing nothing, and I was beating myself up for all the things that I was doing that were making my experience not good, which was then making my experience worse. And I also was really sick for most of Hillary as well. Like, I just had this cough that wouldn't go away. It was horrendous. Like, I just couldn't get it to go, and my health wasn't good. I gained a lot of weight. It was dark, my disassociation was really bad, and obviously I've already covered mental health in my life update video, so that's not really going to factor too much in this video. But as I said in that video, something wasn't right with the way that I was thinking, and I mentioned it in a few vlogs as well. It wasn't the worst thing ever. Like, I'm not saying that it was miserable and it was all dark, it was all dingy. There were definitely highlights, there were definitely good bits, but Oxford is difficult. University in general is difficult, and it's your life, so it's not like one big holiday. Like, if you go on holiday, you want it to be amazing, right? But that's like a week. This is like your existence now. So there are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days, and there are going to be days in between. But I was getting myself worked up that I wasn't enjoying it as much as I should be, when in reality, like, that's just the way that it is, if that makes sense. So Hillary was a difficult one. Academically, ironically, even though I was really struggling, I did better in Hillary than I did in Michaelmas, and I was on the way up and things were going really, really well academically, which I was very surprised at, actually, because I really felt like I was treading water for most of the term, whereas in Michaelmas I was kind of like, ooh, okay, this is interesting, this is fun. But clearly I'd kind of like found my ground a little bit academically and was getting used to the style of writing essays. But in general, Hillary was quite difficult for me. As I said, the vlogging also took like a really big toll, and I learned that vlogging is not a good idea every day at uni, because that was making me feel like I wasn't having enough fun as well. And I was having people being like, you're going out too much, you're going out too little, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, why do you shower at this time of day, why do you do your work at this time of day, why are you eating that, why are you wearing that, whatever. And when you're already very self-conscious like me about how much you're enjoying yourself, that just made it worse. So all in all, Hillary, by the end, I was just a broken woman. I was so tired. I feel like I gained loads of weight. I felt really isolated from myself, and I was glad to be home and have the VAC to rest. One thing I will say, and one thing that I really don't like about Oxford, and there's not many things, but this is one thing that I hate, is the term system. So if you don't know, basically we have 3 8-week terms, which sounds like, oh great, you're barely at uni, which is what I thought as well. But basically what happens is you have 8 weeks from October to December, and then you have like 6 weeks off for Christmas, and then you have 8 weeks from January to March, and then you have 6-7 weeks off for Easter, then you have 8 weeks from May to the end of June, and then you have like 3 months off for the summer. The 3 months, great, I've got nothing to do for 3 months, but the 8, like squeezing that much work into 8 weeks means that A, you don't have time to like breathe, and it's just, you never have a time where you're like done with work, which sounds stupid, but also if you live that way for 8 weeks and you don't have a break, I don't remember taking really a single full day off the whole time I was there. It takes a toll, and it means that you're really tired. And B, it means that you don't ever get to enjoy Oxford as much as you would want to, because you just don't have the time. Like, if you've got stuff to do, like, you can't just go and enjoy the actual city. And C, I found it really difficult this year to reconcile my home life with my uni life. So when I was at uni, everything that was going on at home was like really distant to me, and I found it really difficult to read the news and just like engage with anything that wasn't happening immediately within the parameters of Oxford University and the people there. And then when you go home, you're like stripped away from that life for like 6 weeks, and it takes you like 4 or 5 weeks to adjust to being back at home and to not having deadlines, and then you have to go and do it all again. So I found it very disjointing and jarring and quite difficult to deal with. And if I had one main complaint about Oxford, it would be the term system. I think it's ridiculous, and I'd much rather have 12-week terms with a bit less work, or a reading week in the middle. But that's an issue for another day, and one that I hope the university realises soon. But that was basically Hillary. And then Trinity, I mean, I've already basically explained Trinity in my life update video. Trinity, wow, like, the weather was not that great this year, which I think had a big impact, because that was kind of what I was banking on. I was like, oh, Trinity's going to be great, it's going to be sunny, we're going to have loads of time. People who go to Oxford tend to be perfectionists, and no matter how much I said, or no matter how much anybody else said, we're not going to focus on exams this year, they don't count. We all very much fell into revision mode a lot quicker than I think we all thought we would, which meant that a lot of the term was just spent revising. And I don't think any of us regret that per se, but I do think that I could have been a bit more chill when it came to exams this term, but also given that everything that was going on with me, I'm not going to try and analyse Trinity too much, because I am just proud that I'm sat here in front of you and not rusticated or asleep or just crying somewhere in a hole. So that's that. My mental health in Trinity, as I said, was not good, but one thing I will give and will be a testament to the university is that for me, their mental health provision was great. It was just very good. Like, I just got seen by who I needed to be seen by as soon as I reached out to someone, and I myself am part of the welfare system, so I see how well it kind of works. Obviously I can only speak for my college, but I did find it very, very good, and that was one highlight of Trinity, was that I learned very quickly A, how much help there was on offer, and B, like, who my real friends were. And it sounds cheesy, but you do only find out about who your real friends are when you are put in a time of crisis and you are at your worst and you are being annoying and you are incessantly chatting shit about stuff and you are being snappy and stuff and not behaving your normal self. That's when you learn who's there for you. That's when you learn who will sit there and listen to you even when they don't want to. And that's what I learned in Trinity. I also learned that I have made the best group of friends I could have possibly asked for, and I know for a fact that I have their trust and I have their help, which was also a really big pro of Trinity. Academically, Trinity was the first time in my life where I've fallen behind on work. That's never happened to me before. I don't know if it will ever happen again. And it was only 1 week, and my tutor did make me laugh, because she was like, you say you're out of control, but even your lack of control, you fell behind on an essay for a poet that you know that you're not going to write about in the exam, so missing this essay is actually of no detriment to your studies whatsoever. But I did miss an essay, I did miss a seminar, that did happen this term, and that was also a very valuable thing to learn from, because I hadn't done that all year, I hadn't asked for an extension, I hadn't done that sort of thing, and it was interesting to see how I coped with that. Not very well, but it was interesting to see what happened. Like, the world didn't stop spinning, like everything was still fine. So that was interesting. Academically, as in like workload, we only had contact hours up until 6th week, I believe. Yeah, 6th week. So I was still having like all of my classes every day up until 2 weeks before exams, which was really, really, it was new for me. It was difficult and it was new. I had less work this term because I didn't have an essay to write for German, and the workload kind of moved slowly from new content to revision, but we only finished the new content in 6th week properly, and it was just it was a new type of scenario for me. So what I mean by that is that I was used to having, like, by A-levels, we'd done everything by Easter, then we had a few weeks of revision, and then we had like 3 weeks of study leave, and by the time the exams came round, I very much was just like, let's get this done, let's get this bread. All I was thinking about was exams. My complete focus was there, and that was that. This year was not the case. I had, as I said, 8 3-hour exams, but I literally had a week between my last contact hour and my first exam. And if you're living at uni, you're living with the people that you are sitting the exams with, and that can add a lot of tension, stress, pressure. I did go home for a weekend, didn't help honestly, but it was supposed to help, it didn't. But I tried to come home to relax for the weekend, but I basically found that it's impossible for exams to become all consuming at Oxford in a way, because you're living with people, like you're living with your mates, there's always distractions, there's always stuff going on. You never have like a full revision day where you just sit and you work, you don't talk to anyone. Like, your personal and your academic life become very intermingled and very difficult to separate, and that is by no means a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying it is, it was just different. Exams this year were different, and as I said in my life update video, I had a lot of personal issues, and so did my friends. A lot of bad things were happening to a lot of people in my life, myself included, that added to that pressure and made that worse. And that it is what it is, you know, as they say on Love Island, but it's interesting, and it's been a big learning curve for me. Overall, I would say that first year has been a huge, huge, huge learning curve. I actually don't think I learned that much in Michaelmas. Looking back at the video, I was like, I had a great time, but I hadn't, like, we were still in that like early stage of where everything is good, everything is rosy, and you've not gone through anything to mature. But when I look back at myself this time last year, I am a different person. I am a different person entirely in the way that I deal with things, in the way that I approach things. I've gone through more in this last year, personally, academically, socially, than I think I have gone through put together in the last 5 years, and it has been difficult. And I will not lie to you when I say that I would feel bad about something, or upset about something, or stressed about something pretty much every day. But life is not perfect, and you don't go through life being happy. And whilst at the time I honestly was like, I've wasted my first year of uni just being miserable, and I was aware of the fact that I was miserable, which was making me more miserable. Looking back, I am so happy with how my first year went, and I'm so happy for the hours that I spent crying over work or life or whatever. I'm so happy about the late night chats I had with people. I'm so happy that I could be there for my friends when they were struggling, and I'm glad that I missed an essay, and I'm glad that I messed up, and I'm glad that I did things wrong, and that people did things wrong to me, and that I acted badly and other people acted badly. And I'm glad that all of that happened now, because that's how you grow and you develop as a person. And if I can be grateful to first year for one thing, is that I've learnt the ropes, and I know for a fact that second year will be easier. A, because I don't have any more exams, and B, because I just will be more comfortable in myself, in my surroundings, and in the workload. And I'm glad that first year went the way that it did, because I've come out of it more resilient, with a group of amazing friends, and with so many good and bad memories that I know I will keep forever. So that's kind of the summary of my first year. But I did get some specific questions that I kind of wanted to answer too, that I thought were quite interesting. So the first one is, do you think all the stress / work that you did to get into Oxford is worth it? And I will say yes, because I'm still stressed and I'm still working hard. But you guys know that that's what I like to do. I've been home for 3 days, guys. I've been home with nothing to do for 3 days, and I've already filmed like 6 YouTube videos, done all of my admin. Like, I've just kept myself busy, because you know me. I sat maybe for the first half of the first day doing nothing, and I was like, right, that's enough of that. I want to be busy again. So I'm really glad that I'm still stressed and busy. What do you wish you knew before you started Oxford? That just because you've worked hard to get into Oxford, and that it's your dream place, and it's where you want and where you deserve to be, that it's okay to admit that things are difficult. Like, I think for me, a lot of the year was me having hard times and being like, oh, this is so annoying, I've worked so hard and now I'm wasting my first year, crying or upset or depressed or whatever it is. And I realised kind of toward the end of the year that that's what I'm paying for. I'm paying for the life experience, and I'm paying for the good times and the bad times. And that if I'd gone to Manchester or Bath or Bristol or Edinburgh or Exeter or Durham, it would have been exactly the same. And that just because it's a prestigious university and because I worked really hard to get in, doesn't mean that I have to enjoy every second, I think is what I wish that I'd have known. Is Oxford cliquey? Right, so I would say yes, in a way. So like some of the societies, like the Conservative Society and the Union, very cliquey, but you so don't have to engage in that section of Oxford. I did not. I barely dipped my toe in the clique water. I stayed away. I personally find that LMH is not that cliquey at all. Obviously there are friendship groups, but if you go into hall, like, you can sit with whoever, and that's kind of all right. I personally have always been I've never really had a group. I'm quite a fluid person. I have lots of friends, but like, they're all good friends, but they're not like a friendship group, if that makes sense. And that's been great for me at Oxford, because that's been exactly how it's been there too. How did you find being from Birmingham? So I always found at the start of term, when I came back from Birmingham, like after the back, they'd all be like, oh my god Eve, you sound so Brummy, and people would take the mick out of my accent and take the mick out of how strongly I feel about where the north starts and where the north ends. But all in all, at LMH, I definitely didn't get any overt discrimination, criticism, comments about me coming from the Midlands being a bad thing, ever. More just curiosity about life in the Midlands, which I thought was really nice. How do university revision methods compare? Dude, I wish I could tell you. I have no freaking clue how to revise for university exams, and I don't know if my revision has worked, because I literally, honestly got to the point where I was like, everything I know from GCSE and A-level no longer applies, because there is simply too much to learn. I had to be selective for the first time in my life. I usually will just learn everything, but they got to a point where I literally had to be like, can't do that, and that's that, and had to accept that. And it was difficult for me, but that's life, and I think that was a really good thing I learned this year. Accommodation. I was in a beautiful room called Waltham West 10 LMH, and I actually stayed on my exact corridor that I was on Unique, and I heard at Unique that was an all-girls corridor, and I loved that room and I loved the view. I'll try and insert a picture of the view if I remember. The view was stunning, and I really liked the size of the rooms, and the facilities, like, they were shared and they were tiny, but I don't cook that much, so it really wasn't a big deal. So I ticked all girls on my accommodation form, and that decision to do that was single-handedly the best decision I've made thus far in my life, and that's not me being dramatic, and I'll tell you why. I was in the room pretty much next door to the one I stayed in. It was a lovely room, it was really spacious, the view was lovely. I just love my room, and I'm gonna miss it so much next year, because even though I'm still living with the same people next year, like, the rooms are smaller and just less personal. B, the girls on my corridor were without a doubt the reason that this year happened for me, and the reason that I didn't give up. The late night chats, the little post-it notes, the presents, the tears, the laughter, all of us went through so much this year, and everyone was there for each other, and our corridor was really close, really tight-knit, and there was only 6 of us on the corridor plus another friend. Darren, if you're watching, you are an honorary Waltham West member and always will be. And it was just lovely, and it was the best first year room I could have asked for, the best first year group of people to live with I could have asked for. And if I'm honest with you, I dread to think what my experience would have been like had I not ticked that all girls box. Did I find it easy to make friends? I personally am quite just like a personable person. I am paranoid that everybody hates me all the time, but that's another separate issue. But I do tend to just make friends with people because I like to do that, and I was very lucky in that when I came to LMH on the first day, I knew people in the years above already, just because, like, they'd messaged me on Instagram before because they'd seen my channel, or they were YouTubers themselves, or I just had quite a lot of people that I already knew in Oxford. As well as that, I had made friends at the interviews that had also got in, so when I got there were familiar faces. It wasn't like I was thrown in at the complete deep end. I personally think that Michaelmas was difficult in the sense that you do have to always be around, you always have to be going to social events and stuff so that you fall into those friendship groups, but they do change. My friendship group completely changed from first week, and the people that I'm friends with now is completely different, but it does happen, and as long as you put yourself out there, you will fall into where you're meant to be. And LMH, again, is really welcoming, so making friends was not too difficult. The last question's, like, not really that, like, deep, but also I kind of think it's a good one, is like, what is your favourite college apart from LMH? Because if you didn't know, the university split into colleges, and, like, that's how the system works, and for me it would definitely be Worcester. Worcester is the prettiest college. Like, I had all my German classes at Worcester this year, and if I had to move to another college, it would 100% be Worcester. It's beautiful. Not as beautiful as LMH, but beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below if I've missed anything that you'd like me to answer, that I can perhaps reply to your comment. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be one more university video about, like, things that I wish I'd learned at university, but that is for another day. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you then with that video. Bye guys. Mwah.